So welcome to the temple. This is a continuation of the video I titled The Evolution of Man as Told by Astrology and the Tarot. I want to explain to you that ancient man, again, thought of his sojourn, his journey here on the material plane as a school with various classrooms in which he learned his lessons, in which he was able to take the gifts given to him by his gods at the time, and by, if you believe in God, by the singular God, and to become the victor, overcoming those challenges, those tests, those problems that the material world would always present to the hero, the fool, the soul. In ancient times, this theme was always present in their myths, in their legends of the conquering hero. Even in the Bible, the prodigal son returns after misfortune, misadventure, and returns home. Home to spirit, home to love, home to goodness. And so he, the prodigal son, was the hero of the family. And we have many examples in our historical writings. The Odyssey being one, Sinbad's the sailor, the other, Hercules, all the Middle Age myths of conquering dragons and monsters. They were all a part of this inner myth, this inner urge of man to overcome the outside world, the material world, and therefore to expose to himself these attributes given to him by his gods, his God, singular if you are monotheistic. So they conceived of this journey as having steps or stages to develop this inner knowing, self-awareness, this wisdom. And it started by him superimposing this journey onto the cyclical patterns that he noticed in the stars. And as the sun went through the zodiac, the symbols, and finally returned to his origin, his source, to spirit. So each of these segments, 12 different segments of the zodiac, represent different stages, different tasks, psychological tasks that we have to perform to grow into freedom, into spiritual freedom. So we start with Aries. Aries, the lamb, the sheep. And again, there's always two sides to every symbol, every sign, every stage, every realm of tasks that mankind has to go through. in Aries, he or she is given a test of his courage, which comes from Mars. Remember, the Mars realm is where mankind was given the gift of courage, potential courage. And so now that potential courage is going to be tested during the phase which we call Aries. And in order for the human spirit to evolve, to move, to grow, to develop, courage is absolutely necessary. Bravery, the willingness to go forth even when you don't know what you're going to find, even though it's dark. The unknown is represented by darkness. In the tarot, this is the Fool at the edge of the precipice, falling into what is unknown, the darkness, the chaos. He's coming from pure spirit, and he's willingly, courageously stepping off that cliff. That's Aries. Now, Aries can also go astray in his quest to develop his courage. He may become arrogant. He may become self-possessed of power, where he wants to subjugate those who are lesser than him, who aren't as courageous as he, or perhaps who can be exploited because of their own weaknesses. So this is the foible, the trap that may be experienced by those who are Aries. One can get calcified into a feeling of superiority. That courage can become arrogance. So this is the negative aspect of Aries. But the positive aspect of it is being brave and allowing yourself the faith, self-confidence, self-faith, faith in spirit, that you will preserve, that you will survive, that you will conquer the unknown. So that is how mankind first steps into the material realm and tests his innate bravery, his courage, his willingness to fight the that which opposes him. The way you succeed as an Aries is you do this, you conquer, you become victorious without harming, without hurting another, or without self-harm. That's the test for Aries. Now, we move into the next stage of mankind's development at Taurus. Taurus is symbolized by the bull. And the bull is known for its tenacity, its steadfastness, its endurance, its rock steady reliability, its power, which it attains through its strength, its will to preserve, to persevere. The negative side of that, doing that task, that challenge, is that steadfastness can turn into stubbornness, an unwillingness to engage in new experience, sort of the ox that moves in a habitual rut, fearing the unknown ultimately because it challenges the steadiness of that urge to protect the soul from the jarrings of the unknown. So in Taurus, especially as the Taurian ages, they can calcify around ideas and opinions, and they hold their opinions above truth, the reality of what is. And they can become very stubborn in their opinions, unwilling to accept the spontaneity of the natural world. That is the negative. The positive is their reliability, the giving of themselves loyally, the nurturing of those whom they love in a way that is always reliable. So they have these attributes that are the gold, that is the gold of the gift that they've been given. And their life is about testing this, bringing this out, bringing out this reliability, this loyalty, this confidence in themselves, knowing that they are trustworthy and reliable. So these are the attributes, the wonderful attributes of Taurus. But again, we can fail our tests. It's simply up to us. And in the next stage of this evolution of consciousness comes comes Gemini. Gemini, the twins. This is about duality, being divided against oneself, being of two minds about something simultaneously, being of, and completely the opposite of Taurus, being unpredictable and therefore unreliable. But mostly, if we examine it on a purely conscious level, it's about the human being exploring alternatives and losing himself in this exploration, accepting simultaneously a yes and a no, avoiding the reality, the truth of a matter, by embracing all ideas as equal. So it lends a certain amount of disquiet into the conscious mind, because there isn't any reliability of knowing who is the one that is thinking, who is the one that is doing. Geminis are always a explorative creature. They want to explore. They're eminently curious about the world and even about themselves, but without the gravity or the seriousness that sometimes is necessary to anchor a person into truth while they are expanding their conscious mind. Many Geminis are very witty, very skilled with their hands, skilled with their mind, witty. Wit, I don't know if I even mentioned it. I should have mentioned it. Wit comes at the stage of Mercury. Humor. Humor is often necessary to be able to cope with the dualities of life, things that don't make sense, the absurdities of life. So Geminis tend to be very witty, and this humor helps them to cope with their own duality and with the duality of life. So we move then into the next phase or stage, which is the Cancerian stage, the one that is symbolically associated with the moon. And what does the moon do? The moon changes constantly. It's constantly in flux. And so a Cancerian consciousness is always grappling with their own moods. These constantly changing emotional environments, internal environments, can be disquieting, disturbing to the psyche and to the body. And the consequences can be physical, repercussions such as heart problems, circulation problems, problems with the flow of energy in the body. It's the Cancerian gift of imagination that is to be developed. But in that task or that mission, one can go astray, because imagination can again turn into nightmares. Give me a moment. Into dark, depressive states of mind. The beauty of Cancer is when it overcomes these emotional tide changes without becoming them, without them ruling the conscious mind, that it can transmute this energy into beautiful imaginings. And imagination is what is necessary for reality to ultimately manifest according to that imaginative power. This is focused imagination. Often, a Cancer will be using their imagination in ways that are not beneficial to themselves or to the other, because they are victims of their own moods. This is their evolutionary task, is to overcome themselves, to overcome their emotional instability, to harness it and to use it for the good, to bring their imagination into a power tool to change the world into that which is beautiful. That is the Cancerian mission. So let's move on into the next stage, which is Leo. Leo the lion. And if we look into the tarot, this is the strength card, where you see a maiden taming a lion. The idea of this taming of a lion is ancient. Again, comes from our ancestors. They thought of the lion as the human aspect of consciousness, and the maiden as the spiritual aspect of consciousness. This realm of Leo is ruled by the sun. Remember, the sun was pure energy. Energy that is directed from the realm of spirit, tames the wild, beast-like, untamed aspect of the human soul or consciousness. The lion represents the lower self, the wanton desires that can never be fulfilled. So the maiden in the tarot closes the mouth of the lion with her hands. She uses no weapons. She uses no violence. She simply closes his mouth with her hands. The appetite, the unsatiated appetite of the lion, the beast, the inner self. So she uses the energy that comes from pure spirit and transforms the underworld of self, into the good. into love, into kindness. And that is the mission of Leo, is to tame the inner self, the inner beast, and to use this almost infinite energy source to present a peaceful solution to the inner dilemma, to the inner fight that's going on. The lower self fighting with the higher self. That's the mission of Leo. So I'm going to end this video right there. I don't want it to go on too long, and I'll put the other signs on the next video. Namaste. Thank you for your support.